Good morning, Joel. Thanks for taking part in our 6 simple questions. Would you like to introduce yourself first?
I would do, Simon. Thank you very much. Just start off with, I'm Joel White, and I'm the creator of Rewired For Men. It's a transformative program designed specifically for high-achieving entrepreneurs, helping them to rewire the unhelpful stories in their head so they can move beyond stress, burnout, and limiting beliefs. It's really passionate for me, this program, Simon, and it's very unique in getting to the root cause of those unconscious stories that cause people problems. But I find these stories have then impacted on them for a lot of their lives. For me, what I stand out in what I do, I get to the root cause, permanently transform that within 30 days or less, Simon. And if I had to put it in a simple line, the goal is simple. I equip men to cope 100% in their day-to-day lives with clarity, confidence, and a renewed sense of purpose. Well, that's what I do.
Great. And what was the steps that led you up to setting up Rewired for Men?
Yeah, so I'll summarize that best I can, really. My journey started with my own challenges of being an entrepreneur, but also in different positions of employment in the past when I was in education. And it was a lot of it was trying to find that balance and peace. I became very aware when I went through mental health concerns back in early 2000s, mid 2000s, around 2013, that when I looked for support, I really found that traditional mental health approaches only scratched the surface. They didn't address the deeper unconscious patterns driving behavior. This drove me on, Simon, to look for a better way of working for men out there who might also be struggling, but also being held back. So I went on a journey of becoming a qualified counsellor, NLP master practitioner, trauma-informed coach, and obviously what you see today, the Rewired for Men, what I do.
Right.
There comes into this, Simon, is that passion. What I really have, I only specifically work with men, is to see them as they go through the Rewired for Men process, to eliminate that anxiety, the insecurity, and self-doubt by rewiring those underlying subconscious patterns. I love helping men. I also do a few men's groups. It's great seeing them on a journey, develop unwavering confidence, a stronger sense of self that isn't tied to external success. What I find with a lot of men is they judge their worth based on their bank balance, their position of employment. It's almost like being on a hamster wheel, you just can't get off.
Yeah.
For me, what also is the last bit that I see coming out of it is seeing men staying sharp, they're energized, they're resilient, and no matter what obstacles life throws at them, they can deal with it in a natural state of presence. And for me, that's absolute gold, seeing that transformation of men go through that journey.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Thanks, Joel. But obviously, as you know, we like to know a little bit more about the individual because people buy people. What do you do in your spare time? What keeps you busy out of work?
Yeah, so in my spare time, I love to dance, Simon. So I do salsa
Right.
dancing. Been doing that for about 20 years. I love getting out in nature. It's a place of feeling calm, sense of clarity. I like just sitting and doing nothing when in fact you are, because it helps you just reflect, come into that state of
Yeah.
presence. I'm a great believer in personal growth. You know, I go on extra courses CPD because I want to do the best that I can to help the men that I work with. And also it helps me connect on a meaningful level with others. I obviously, as you know, Simon, I've got a real sense of adventure. I've got a parachute
Yeah.
jump coming up in February,
Yes.
which is definitely not stepping out of my comfort zone, but it's going towards a really good charity, Genie's Wish. So really looking forward to
Yeah.
that. I think we're in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah.
You'll be here before we know it. Right. Okay. So do you listen to podcasts? I'm assuming you listen to quite a few actually, but is there one you'd like to recommend?
I think for me, what I started sort of listening to more coming into that new year of New Year's resolution is that Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it because I find it really inspiring. It's really thought provoking. And it really does give insight around growth, overcoming challenges, leadership. And what I find interesting about it, it started off as his own personal diary, and it's grown from there, really into really insightful things, deep dives into topics that I find are really important to discuss, particularly with men. You're looking at resilience, emotional intelligence, and obviously overcoming obstacles, which is really important for entrepreneurs nowadays, managing the difficulties and complexities that are here in the world today.
Great. And I think Mr. Bartlett possibly should be sponsoring this this session, because he comes up a lot. So he comes up an awful lot. So moving on, books. Are you a big reader? Is there a book you'd recommend?
Yeah, for me, I go through phases when I read books, but one sort of stood out a lot, which I found myself dabbling back in the pages over Christmas, is a book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. So it sort of brings a different element to it from a sort of alternative element of looking at things. But it really deep dives into that whole idea of how the ego sort of drives our life and the importance of working with that. So for me, the ego very much relates to the unconscious driving force, what drives, and hence why I do the work what I do. And by sort of breaking through that, you can become more authentic, and obviously how Eckhart Tolle puts it in the piece, or what I call a state of presence. For me, really, again, it's that whole piece of what Rewired Men is. It's letting go of those limited beliefs so you can be more in that state of presence. So yeah, a few little hints and tips from Eckhart Tolle has gone into the way I work.
Thank you for that one. And finally, any words of wisdom for people watching this?
Yeah, so I talk a lot about stories, Simon. So the stories are at an unconscious level, and regards to the stories that you tell yourself about who you are can really limit you, or it can set you free. If these stories aren't helping you, then why not rewrite them? And what I find is the importance of freedom begins with overcoming those unhelpful stories that hold you back.
Right. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for taking part in our 6 simple questions. Thanks very much, Joel.
Thank you, Simon.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Right.